Good evening, and thank you for tuning into Lewis University Television Network. Today is Thursday, September 18th, 2025. I'm Brandon Najera.
And I'm Christian Kluber.
Tonight, breaking news as the suspect charged in Charlie Kirk's murder appears in court for the first time. Also breaking, CEO murderer suspect Luigi Mangione exiting a New York courtroom in shackles as a judge dismisses a top charge of linking his killing to terrorism. In international news, Israel has launched a new attack on Gaza as residents struggle to escape even with given passageways. And finally, tonight, the Cubs ending their 5-year playoff drought. Starting with new information in the murder of 31-year-old conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Kirk's suspected killer, Tyler Robinson, made his first court appearance. The 22-year-old suspect appeared virtually in Utah State Court on Tuesday and was formally charged. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray says he will seek the death penalty in this case. Robinson now faces 7 criminal charges, including aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. According to authorities, Robinson's DNA was found on the trigger of the rifle used in the shooting. Prosecutors also presented incriminating text messages between Robinson and his roommate. Prosecutors say Robinson's mother recognized her son from images on the news and raised concerns to his father, who confronted his son. In the end, Robinson turned himself in.
The judge hearing the case against Luigi Mangione has dismissed 2 terror-related charges against him. Mangione is accused of gunning down former United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last year. The judge says those 2 charges are legally insufficient. Mangione still faces the count of murder in the 2nd degree and made an appearance in state court in Manhattan on Tuesday. His lawyers want the judge to dismiss the murder charge since the 27-year-old is facing federal charges for the same killing. The lawyers also want to suppress evidence seized at the time of his arrest and statements he made to law enforcement. Mangione faces a possible life sentence if convicted in New York State Court.
A Missouri organization says the people, not politicians, should decide to accept or reject new congressional maps. The group People, Not Politicians held a call Monday to discuss how to put a redistricting plan approved by Missouri lawmakers to a vote. The voters' referendum isn't used frequently, but the group says it's gathering more than 107,000 signatures across Missouri to make the vote happen. Group leaders say it will easily get those numbers. People, Not Politicians has until December 11th to collect and turn in those signatures. If approved, a voter referendum on the state's congressional maps would be placed on the November 2026 ballot.
A 95-year-old woman is accused of murder at a New York nursing home. Police say Julia Smirnova attacked 89-year-old Nina Kretsova at Seagate Rehabilitation and Nursing Center on Sunday. Officials found Kretsova with a serious head injury, and she would later die at the hospital early Monday. Smirnova is now charged with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. Records show Seagate has more than 100 complaints since the year of 2021. The nursing home is also facing a class action lawsuit over claims of unsafe staffing levels.
An air traffic controller scolded a Spirit Airlines pilot after he didn't respond immediately to his instructions as Air Force One flew about 8 miles away on Tuesday. The Spirit flight was parallel to the president's plane over Long Island. Trump was on his way to the UK. The controller asked the Spirit pilot to turn 20 degrees right. After 5 seconds of no response, the controller radioed again, telling him to pay attention and repeated the instructions. After 2 more attempts to reach the pilot, he responded, acknowledging the right turn. Later, after the Spirit pilot didn't respond to another radio instruction, the controller complained he had to talk to him twice every time he communicated. He told him to pay attention and get off his iPad. Up next, Gaza City on siege by the Israeli government once again as President Netanyahu oversees a new ground offensive. Plus, a bridge of diplomacy as the British royal family hosts President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania to fanfare and meetings.
It is a new day for jobs and careers, and the skills needed to compete are rapidly changing. This is why more students are choosing Lewis University. Lewis prepares you for emerging opportunities in some of the most highly sought-after fields. Higher education is the most crucial investment you can make in your future. Lewis provides you with a lasting education that will launch you towards success today and strong, growing careers of tomorrow. Begin an education that will pay dividends for a lifetime. Learn more at lewisu.edu.
For over 50 years, WLRA has been on air showcasing countless students. As the first all-digital college radio station, Lewis University students are given access to industry-leading equipment. Equipment that commercial stations utilize, equipment that creates, and equipment that brings radio to life.
I like WLRA because it gives me the opportunity to get experience with news broadcasting and working with radio.
Stop by De La Salle 210 or at WLRA Radio to get started on your radio career.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Innocent lives are still at risk as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu observed Tuesday's strike on Houthi targets in Yemen. The Prime Minister addressed the ground offensive in Gaza City, saying Israel is making efforts to open additional evacuation routes for Palestinians in order to separate them from the terrorists they intend to target.
President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump kicked off their first full day of a historic state visit to the United Kingdom. They were greeted by the Prince and the Princess of Wales before meeting King Charles III and Queen Camilla. Trump inspected the honor guard outside Windsor Castle with King Charles. They also had a tour of the grounds in house-drawn carriages. Trump's schedule for the day included lunch with members of the royal family and state dinner.
There were no words needed for this hug that had to wait more than 45 years. It's the cry of a mother who for decades feared her twin daughters were lost forever. It began in 1979 when Chile was under dictatorship of General Augusto Pinochet. A young, single 19-year-old mother gave birth to twin girls. Maria Veronica Soto said after a routine doctor's visit, a government clinic took her 10-month-old babies from her, accusing her of not feeding them properly. Soto says the birth certificate was altered to say that no parent had showed up to register the babies. According to Chilean officials, from 1973 to 1990, during the dictatorship, thousands of babies were stolen from their biological mothers and sold into adoption, mainly to foreign couples from the United States and Europe.
China will continue investigating NVIDIA after preliminary inquiry found that the U.S. chip giant broke China's anti-monopoly law. NVIDIA makes processors that power artificial intelligence, which both China and the USA believe is crucial for national security. This comes as the world's two largest economic powers hold their fourth round of trade talks in Madrid. China's State Administration for Market Regulation said that NVIDIA was found to have violated the terms of conditional approval of its acquisition of the Israeli chip designer.
The flight was going from Tokyo to Cebu in the Philippines. The airline says about an hour into the flight, it was diverted to Osaka, Japan, following an indication of a possible fire. The 135 passengers evacuated down the plane's emergency slides. 2 passengers were taken to the hospital with minor injuries from the evacuation. The airline says an initial inspection showed no indication of a fire.
It is a new day for jobs and careers, and the skills needed to compete are rapidly changing. This is why more students are choosing Lewis University. Lewis prepares you for emerging opportunities in some of the most highly sought after fields. Higher education is the most crucial investment you can make in your future. Lewis provides you with a lasting education that will launch you towards success today and strong growing careers of tomorrow. Begin an education that will pay dividends for a lifetime. Learn more at lewisu.edu.
For over 50 years, WLRA has been on air showcasing countless students. As the first all-digital college radio station, Lewis University students are given access to industry-leading equipment. Equipment that commercial stations utilize, equipment that creates, and equipment that brings radio to life.
I like WLRA because it gives me the opportunity to get experience with news broadcasting and working with radio.
Stop by De La Salle 210 or at WLRA Radio to get started on your radio career.
A federal immigration crackdown is raising alarms across the Chicago area this week. U.S. Border Patrol has confirmed that many arrests have taken place as part of an Operation Midway Blitz, a new enforcement effort targeting undocumented immigrants with criminal records. But local leaders, INCLO, including Governor J.B. Pritzker, says the program lacks transparency and coordination with the state officials. Immigrant advocacy groups are also reporting increased stops near courthouses and traffic checkpoints. Some communities in the southwest suburbs, including Romeoville, are watching closely, especially those with large immigrant populations. Activists say these actions are creating fear and uncertainty among families, students, and local workers.
Looking to unwind this weekend? A major wellness festival is coming to Chicago's Salt Shed this Sunday. Move at the Shed is an all-day wellness experience running from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., featuring group workouts, guided meditation, cold plunges, massages, and even more live experiences from Chicago artists Mila Woods and Vic Mensa. Some fitness classes require tickets running between $46 and $52, but many activities, including vendor giveaways and wellness zones, are totally free. Organizers say the goal is to promote holistic health and give Chicagoans the chance to relax and recharge, as Salt Shed is located on North Esselton Avenue. Just don't forget your yoga mat.
The Chicago City Council this week approved a deal that will bring video gambling to the city. The Chicago Committee on License and Consumer Protection made it official that your local bars and restaurants can start installing machines next Tuesday. The proposal was initially brought to light back in July by 9th Ward Alderman Anthony Bailey. The full Chicago City Council will vote on the matter next week.
Sunday was Pope Leo's 70th birthday. To commemorate local Chicago, the Chicagoan street food giant Portillo's sent their signature chocolate cake for the pontiff to enjoy. The U.S. ambassador to the Vatican had the pleasure of delivering it to the Pope. The village of Dolton held a party for the Pope as well at his childhood home on 141st Street in Chicago, which included music and prayer from local clergy. Up next, entertainment with Michelle Stotch.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Longtime late-night host Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended indefinitely by ABC after comments made in his opening monologue regarding the death of Charlie Kirk. President Trump doubling down on his criticism of Jimmy Kimmel, saying the late-night ABC talk show host is not talented. Kimmel was indefinitely pulled off the air Wednesday after he claimed the Trump administration, right-wing media, and the MAGA movement were trying to manipulate Charlie Kirk's alleged killer's motivation for political gain. Legendary actor and director Robert Redford has died. His publicist said Redford passed away at his home at Sundance in the mountains of Utah, the place he loved, surrounded by those he loved. No cause of death was given. Redford was known for his starring roles in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and All the President's Men. He also directed award-winning films such as Ordinary People and A River Runs Through It. Redford was 89 years old. Coachella has announced its headliners for next year. They are Justin Bieber, Sabrina Carpenter, and Colombian singer Karol G. The artists have all played at Coachella in the past. The Indio California Music Festival is set for the weekends of April 10th through 12th and April 17th to 19th. Passes go on sale Friday. You can register now for access. It's not every day a 71-year-old appears at a show at Fashion Week in New York. But Blazing Trails isn't exactly new for Ruby Bridges. She was part of the Actively Black show to honor those who fought for equality. Bridges became the first black child to integrate the all-white William Frantz Elementary School in New Orleans. That was in 1960. And the show's creator said his whole idea was to remind people how recent desegregation was. One of Martin Luther King's daughters and his widow attended the show. And one of Malcolm X's daughters, as well as Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who are the two athletes who raised their fists at the 1968 Olympics. Rapper Bad Bunny's final show in Puerto Rico will be live-streamed. The artist's residency began in July, likely generating hundreds of millions of dollars in tourist revenue for Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny recently said he is unwilling to tour in the U.S. because of ICE's aggressive immigration detention efforts. The Grammy winner's final show will be live-streamed on September 20th on Amazon Prime, Twitch, and the Amazon Music app. Up next, Sharon Sherian with your health update.
Life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years and I got my third child who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Tonight in health news, life expectancy in Chicago has climbed again. The city's Department of Public Health reports the average lifespan is now 78.7 years, a third straight year of improvement. But the gains aren't equal. While many racial groups are approaching their pre-COVID longevity, Black Chicagoans continue the One interesting finding, Gage Park on the south side, a largely Latino community, is among the areas with the highest life expectancy in the city, nearly 83 years. Health officials say much of the progress comes from reductions in COVID-19 deaths, as well as improvements in addressing chronic disease, violence, and overdose. Over the past week, probable cases. The state also recorded 53 additional deaths linked to the virus. On the vaccination front, More than 120,000 vaccine doses were administered during that same week. The current positivity rate is about 1.5% for all tests and 1.7% for individual people tested. Hospitalizations continue, though the numbers are relatively lower. Protecting those most vulnerable is still a priority. A global health warning. According to recent reports from the World Health Organization, more than 1 billion people worldwide are living with mental health disorders like anxiety and depression. Suicide remains one of the leading causes of death, especially among young people. Experts say current efforts worldwide are falling short of reducing that rate. Another concern, especially here in Illinois and across the U.S., is that mental health spending has remained low in many places. Systems still rely heavily on inpatient psychiatric care rather than community-based support. Mental health resources are available through school, community, clinics, and hotlines. Anyone in need of help can call 988. In a continued effort to combat the opioid crisis, the Will County Health Department has expanded its life-saving initiative by adding 10 new red naloxone distribution boxes throughout the country. This brings the total number of boxes to 20, strategically placed in high-traffic areas to ensure easy access to naloxone, a medication that can reverse opioid overdoses. Program Coordinator for Substance Use Initiatives, Dr. Kathleen Burke, said there has been a 30% reduction in opioid-related deaths in 2024. The Red Box program accounts for 20% of naloxone distributed in the country. Naloxone is available free of charge through the Illinois Department of Human Services Substance Use Prevention and Recovery Access Narcan program. If you're interested in locating a Red Box near you or learning more about this initiative, visit the Will County Health Department's website or contact them directly. Up next, weather with Christian Kluver and sports with Jaden Elmore.
It is a new day for jobs and careers, and the skills needed to compete are rapidly changing. This is why more students are choosing Lewis University. Lewis prepares you for emerging opportunities in some of the most highly sought-after fields. Higher education is the most crucial investment you can make in your future. Lewis provides you with a lasting education that will launch you towards success today and strong, growing careers of tomorrow. Begin an education that will pay dividends for a lifetime. Learn more at lewisu.edu.
For over 50 years, WLRA has been on air showcasing countless students. As the first all-digital college radio station, Lewis University students are given access to industry-leading equipment. Equipment that commercial stations utilize, equipment that creates, and equipment that brings radio to life.
I like WLRA because it gives me the opportunity to get experience with news broadcasting and working with radio.
Stop by De La Salle 210 or at WLRA Radio to get started on your radio career.
Welcome back, Lewis Flyers, to our first weather forecast of this semester. Right now, our weather only has our radar up. However, we can still give a forecast. Around where we are at, Lewis, Chicagoland area, we are going to be completely clear, at least for now. There are some scattered storms out west, kind of over Iowa, over Omaha. It's storming a little bit more severe. However, this might pass us, but it should be good. It might go over us and kind of hit Green Bay, up where this other kind of storms are. Down south, it looks like we are completely clear. However, when we go southwest, it does look like there are some scattered storms, a line kind of down by Kansas City, but if it does keep going east, it should kind of graze past us in the bottom. Some of the southern suburbs down there, Peatone, Kankakee, they might get some rain. However, where we are at, we should be pretty good for the area. Again, we are having some technical difficulties, so only our radar is up right now, but that is our forecast for this semester. Jaden Elmore with sports.
2 members of the Lewis University Flyers are set to head to Owings Mills, Maryland to compete in the 5th edition of the USA Volleyball Men's Beach Collegiate Challenge from September 19th to the 21st. Ezra Boking from Round Rock, Texas, along with freshman Kyle Chapman, will represent the Flyers at the USA Volleyball Men's Beach Collegiate Challenge. The 3-day event runs September 19th through the 21st on the campus of Stevenson University in Owings Mills, Maryland at Mustang Beach. This isn't the first time Lewis has been represented at the challenge. Just last year, Quinn Zilch from Media, Pennsylvania, competed for the Flyers. The tournament will bring together 32 teams from colleges and universities across the nation, each team guaranteed at least 3 matches. Competition heats up quickly with the round of 24 and 16 taking place on September 20th and the quarterfinals, semifinals, along with the bronze and gold medal matches, wrapping up the action on September 21st. The Lewis University men's golf team competed in its second tournament of the fall at the Midwest Regional Preview, hosted by Ferris State at Cat Golf Club on September 15th and 16th. The Flyers finished 16th overall in the team standings, shooting a combined score of 936 across 54 holes. Ty Doty from South Elgin and Gabriel Delaval from France represented Lewis, both tying for 51st place. Doty closed out the weekend with a strong third round, firing a 1 under 70 that included 3 birdies. Delaval found his rhythm in the second round, carding a 3 over 74 to lead his performance. As the tournament wrapped up, Rockhurst came out up top at plus 12, while Ashland's Mark Pillar and Cannon's Rasmus Seppänen shared medalist honors after finishing the tournament at 1 under par. Lewis baseball legend Tom Brennan will officially be inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame at the Night of Champions dinner in Overland Park, Kansas on February 11th and 12th, 2026. Brennan, who was the first named to Hall of Fame in 2021, had his recognition delayed to a virtual ceremony during the pandemic. The Oaklawn native remains the winningest pitcher in Flyer history, posting a 44-7 record with 511 strikeouts and a career era of 1.60 under Hall of Fame coach Gordy Gillespie. A 3-time NHIA All-American, Brennan became the highest draft pick in program history when he went 4th overall to the Cleveland Indians in 1974. He went on to pitch 5 seasons in the big leagues with the Indians, White Sox, and Dodgers. Brennan's impact at Lewis was celebrated again in 2024, was number 24 when officially retired, joining an elite group of just 6 Flyers to receive the honor. Just yesterday, the Chicago Cubs clinched their first playoff berth since 2020. With the series sweep against Pittsburgh, the Cubs become the 3rd team in Major League Baseball to confirm their place into the playoff history books. Fittingly, Ian Happ, the longest tenured athlete currently playing for a Chicago team, reigned in the final out. The Cubs won that game 8-4. The men's basketball team has a new head coach for this season. Longtime assistant head coach Nick Rocco will step up as head coach after Scott Trost announced his retirement just last week. Rocco has been a part of men's basketball for the past 9 seasons. 3 of those seasons made appearances in the GLVC Conference Championship, with 2024 being the most recent. Rocco has had 8 players go on to play in the NBA to European divisions overseas over his career as a coach. Prior to his time at Lewis, Rocco spent 4 seasons as the assistant late basketball coach Gene Pintagore as St. Joseph's in Westchester, Illinois. Rocco also played under Keith Buckenherberg at Benedictine University before becoming a coach for Nazareth Academy in 2010. The men's basketball team roster and schedule under Rocco will be released at a later date. That's it for this week in sports. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Raise Strong Foundation was created about 4 years ago. It came after, as a couple, we had our first child. She was born at 24 weeks. She weighed 1 pound, 12 ounces. Then she proceeded to spend another 4 months in the NICU. That was the time that she should have been growing in the womb. During the 4 months, we visited her daily, and we got to sit down with the doctors and the nurses, and the amount of medical knowledge and what they can do to make sure that your child survives is amazing. And just the experience, it was nothing we could have ever been prepared for. So emotionally, we became very tied to the micro-preemie world. And that was when we decided to create a foundation with the goal of trying to give thanks back to the NICUs, the nurses, and then also provide any sort of emotional or financial help to other families that might experience what we went through.
We've had the opportunity to host over 40 events, celebrating micro-preemies, fundraising, and bringing awareness to micro-preemies and their families. When you get a chance, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or our website at raystrong.org. Donate, and thanks again for all the support.
Thank you.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
It took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
That's it for today's news. As a reminder, you can always keep up with Lewis University Television Network on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and by visiting our YouTube channel. I'm Brandon Najera.
And I'm Christian Kluber. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.